He had once been the face of laughter in American homes. Darius McCrary, the man millions knew as Eddie Winslow from Family Matters, had lived every young actor's dream. Fame, fortune, and fans followed him everywhere he went, and you wouldn't believe how big he was in the 90s. Charming, funny, and confident, he became the symbol of what every teenager wanted to be. But behind that perfect smile, something darker was growing. The fame that lifted him high would soon turn into the very thing that pulled him down. As the years passed, the world moved on, but Darius couldn't. The show ended, the applause faded, and so did the opportunities. He tried to keep his career alive with small roles here and there, but Hollywood had already chosen new faces to replace him. That's when his life started changing, quietly at first, but deeply. Bills piled up, his phone stopped ringing, and the man who once walked red carpets now struggled just to stay relevant. Destiny took an unexpected turn, and Darius was no longer the star America adored. He was just a man trying to survive. Even while his career was slipping, his personal life was falling apart even faster. His marriage to Tammy Bronner, a former Harlem Globetrotter, turned into a nightmare no sitcom could ever script. At first, they seemed happy, two public figures trying to make love work under the pressure of fame. But soon, accusations started flying from both sides. They accused each other of abuse, neglect, and manipulation. Their love story turned into a courtroom drama, and every new hearing revealed more pain. When the court ordered Darius to pay $1,300 a month in child support, it sounded simple on paper. But for someone whose acting work had nearly stopped, that amount felt impossible. He missed payments, and soon the headlines began to change. No one was talking about Eddie Winslow anymore. They were talking about Darius McCrary, the actor arrested for failing to pay child support. That wasn't the only time he saw the inside of a police station. This was only the beginning of a long, painful fall. His legal troubles made it harder to get work, and his lack of work made it harder to stay out of legal trouble. It became a circle he couldn't break. Friends started avoiding him, and people in Hollywood whispered that Darius had lost his way. What makes this story different is that it wasn't drugs or crime that destroyed him at first. It was pain, disappointment, and fear. He had been a star everyone loved, but now he was a man trapped in the storm of his own life. He tried to defend himself in interviews, saying people didn't know the truth, that he was being targeted, but no one wanted to listen. The same public that once cheered for him had already moved on. And yet, Darius refused to give up. He wanted peace, a chance to rebuild. But life had other plans. After the court battles, Darius's life kept slipping further away from what it used to be. You wouldn't believe how quickly everything he once built started falling apart. His finances were a mess, his reputation was damaged, and his peace of mind was gone. The man who once made people laugh on screen was now struggling just to keep his head above water. He moved from one temporary place to another, often staying with friends or sleeping wherever he could. That's how it looked when fame faded completely, lonely, quiet, and full of regret. But the problems between Darius and his ex-wife Tammy didn't end even after the divorce. The two kept fighting through lawyers and court papers. Darius claimed she had made his life a living nightmare. He said she turned their home into chaos, that she harassed him constantly, and that he no longer felt safe. In 2022, he tried to file a restraining order against her, saying he was living in fear. He told the court he was being terrorized both physically and mentally. But destiny took another unexpected turn when his request was denied because he missed his court date. It was like every time he tried to stand up, something pulled him down harder. Darius said he missed the hearing because he had no stable place to live. He told people he was displaced, that he had to flee his own home because of the threats and abuse. He said, "I no longer live in my home because of the fear and the pain." Those words gave fans chills. For the first time, it sounded like the man who once played a confident, smiling teenager was now broken, a man who didn't even feel safe in his own house. And the craziest part was that he claimed his ex-wife even used his dog against him. In December, he said she threatened to take away his beloved pet if he didn't pay her. To outsiders, it might have sounded small, just a dog, but for Darius, that pet was the last piece of comfort he had left when everything else, his home, his money, his career, had been taken from him. What makes the story so heartbreaking is how deeply personal it became. It was no longer about fame or success. It was about survival. Darius wasn't just fighting to stay in Hollywood. He was fighting to stay alive. He started saying things that worried people around him. He said he feared he might end up like Phil Hartman, the Saturday Night Live comedian who was tragically killed by his wife in 1998. When fans heard that, they realized Darius wasn't exaggerating. He was truly afraid for his life. It was a cry for help that showed just how dark things had become for him. But even after saying all that, no one really came to his rescue. Hollywood stayed silent. The media reported his pain like gossip instead of tragedy. And Darius, left with no support, started disappearing from the spotlight completely. The man who once lit up millions of TV screens was now living in fear, looking over his shoulder, wondering when his past would finally stop haunting him. Time passed, but peace never came for Darius. Life kept throwing one storm after another his way. He tried to stay quiet, to rebuild slowly, but the damage was already done. His career was hanging by a thread, and no one in Hollywood wanted to take a chance on him anymore. This is what isolation feels like when the lights go out and the applause turns to silence. Darius was no longer the man who once made America laugh. He was a man fighting to be heard, to be understood, and maybe just to be believed. While people assumed he had vanished from the spotlight by choice, the truth was far darker. He was living in fear, constantly looking over his shoulder. He believed people were after him, that his life was in danger. Some thought it was paranoia, others believed it was trauma. Destiny took another unexpected turn when rumors started spreading that he had been seen near the U.S. Mexico border, acting nervous and restless. Fans didn't know what to think. Was he running from someone, or from himself? Reports began to surface that Darius had been stopped by authorities near the border. It wasn't a random check. They were looking for him. And when they confirmed his identity, they discovered a felony warrant out of another state. No one knew exactly what the charge was, but one thing was certain. It wasn't minor. The actor who once walked red carpets was now being handcuffed near a checkpoint, his Hollywood smile replaced with quiet shock. The story spread fast. Within hours, major outlets broke the news. Family Matters starred Darius McCrary arrested near the U.S. Mexico border. Fans were stunned.